Hello everyone, I am Nitij and today we are diving into an exciting aspect of React, which is lazy loading. So I'm going to showcase the power and efficiency of lazy loading. This technique is a game changer for optimizing web application performance, especially for those with significant content or complex components. So let me show you what we already have and what we are going to do. This is a React application with a default routing already in place. The routing is only for two components, which is the home component and the about component. So we are just importing them normally, and then we are using the use routes hook to set up the routing in our app.js component. Now with about component, there is nothing much. There is simply some HTML which is being returned from the functional component, but in the home we have another heavy component which is being imported, and we are returning that component's HTML as well. So basically home component's own HTML clubbed with the heavy component's HTML are being returned. Now I am just going to build this project and I will show you what happens when we do that. So for that I'm just going to execute npm run and then build. So remember, right now we don't have any lazy loading set up for this project. So let's see what is the state of our build package when we build this project. So hold on, let me scroll up. Okay, it says compiled successfully, and these are the file sizes after gzip. There is this main JavaScript file, the main chunk, which has 52 KB size, and this is another chunk which is 1.77 KB. This is probably related to some small dependency, and this is the chunk for the CSS file. Now let me show you what happens when we implement lazy loading within our React components. So I will first start with the home component, which is this one. Alright, so this is heavy component and this is home. First I will lazy load the heavy component, and for that I am going to import two dependencies. The first one is going to be lazy and the second one is going to be suspense. Comment out this line of code and then I will import the heavy component by using the lazy function. So the lazy function always returns a dynamic import. So in the dynamic import we need to give the path for the component that we want to load dynamically, and instead of import we are going to have a const over here because we are not importing directly. And now when we have done that, let's see what is the status of the build output. So I'm going to run this command again. This time you can see that we have an extra chunk for our heavy component, which is going to be loaded asynchronously by the browser. So when the home component is not rendered, then this heavy component is not going to be loaded. And because we are rendering heavy component directly, as soon as the home component is rendered, this heavy component's chunk will be downloaded asynchronously by the browser. But until this heavy component is loaded, it will not be available. So what we can do is we can use a suspense component and wrap heavy component with a suspense. So I'm just going to cut and paste it over here. The suspense also has a feature to provide the fallback HTML or the fallback view. So for that I'm just going to output a div with the message loading. Now this is the first part of our performance optimization using lazy loading, and most of the developers rely only this kind of component based lazy loading where they simply lazy load the components. But to make your lazy loading truly efficient, you should always lazy load your root components as well by providing some kind of fallback UI, like maybe some message or a CSS spinner, which will indicate that the root is currently loading. Lazy loading a root is going to be immensely beneficial to your page load metrics like largest content paint and first content paint. Now to lazy load these root component imports, I'm just going to copy them and then comment them out and then paste them again, but then change imports to const and then home equals to lazy, but with a function which is going to return the dynamic import. I'm just going to paste the path over here. Okay, let's cut and paste over here and then remove this from, and then similar to this, let me just copy and paste for about, and then the about folder, and we can use them normally. But to use the suspense component, what we need to do is, hold on, let me import this stuff as well. So import lazy and then the suspense component. Now when we are returning these roots, then we can use the fallback value for the suspense component. So suspense, and we can wrap roots with suspense, and let's use the fallback UI as well. So fallback and then a div with some message loading root. Alright, so this is how we can lazy load our root component or roots as well. Now let's build this project again and see the output of our build files. So this time the build output is looking differently than the previous one. We have a bunch of extra chunks over here which are for our root components. So this means that when our main application will load, then the root components are also going to be lazy loaded based on which root is meant to be rendered. This gives us an extra percentage boost in the overall percentage improvement while our application is loading. And that's everything about building an app with lazy loading in React. We have seen how simple yet powerful this feature can be in enhancing your app's performance, and we have also seen that mostly developers only focus on component based lazy loading. So if you found this tutorial helpful, then please consider subscribing for more content like this. I am Nitij, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coding!